Ben. When God gives architectural plans, he doesn't just sketch out a rough idea, he provides detailed blueprints that cover everything from social structures to spiritual guidelines.
Pappy. That's such an interesting way to look at the book of Numbers. It's more like a divine construction manual.
Ben, what strikes me is how meticulously organized it was. You had these concentric circles of community, starting with individual families, expanding to clans, then tribes, and finally the entire nation.
Hmm. And each layer had its specific purpose and leadership structure, right?
Well, that's what makes it so brilliant. The elders guided families and clans, creating this interconnected support system that balanced individual needs with community responsibilities.
Speaking of organization, the land distribution method is particularly fascinating. They used lots, but it wasn't just random chance.
Oh no, Ben, it was way more sophisticated than that. They believed God would work through the process to ensure fairness, and get this, they adjusted the size of land portions based on the size of each clan.
That's exactly the kind of detail that shows how practical yet spiritual this whole plan was.
And here's what's interesting: God gave this stark warning about the existing inhabitants. He said if they weren't entirely driven out, they'd become barbs in their eyes and thorns in their sides.
You know what happened though? They didn't follow through completely, did they?
Right. And that partial obedience led to exactly what God warned about. It's like building a house, but leaving patches of rotting wood in the foundation. Eventually, those compromises affected the entire structure.
That makes me think about how this applies to modern spiritual life. How do we handle those areas of compromise?
Well, look at what happened with the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and half of Manasseh. They got their land early, but still had to help their brothers claim the rest of the territory. It shows this beautiful balance between individual choice and community responsibility.
So it challenges our modern individualistic mindset.
Exactly. And it connects to this larger theme of inheritance. The Israelites understood they were receiving something promised generations before to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. They were part of this continuing story of God's faithfulness.
Though I imagine it wasn't easy for them to fully trust and follow God's plan.
Um, That's what makes God's warning about the inhabitants so relevant. Just like they had to actively remove potential spiritual compromises, we have to be intentional about identifying and eliminating things that could undermine our relationship with God.
And historically, we can see how those small compromises led to bigger problems, right?
Absolutely. Israel's later exile was mainly due to their adoption of those very pagan practices they were supposed to eliminate. But here's something encouraging. Even after Moses disobeyed by striking the rock instead of speaking to it, God still used him to lead the people.
That's such a powerful reminder about God's grace despite our failures.
And look at the bigger picture. God made these promises to Abraham centuries earlier, and here he was, fulfilling them exactly as he said he would. That's incredible faithfulness across generations.
Though it required active participation from the people.
That's the key point. They had to cross the Jordan, engage in battles, remove the pagan influences, and actively settle the land. God's promises often involve partnership with his people.
How do you think this relates to our spiritual communities today?
Well, it reinforces the importance of community in our spiritual journey. Just as each Israelite tribe had its role in the larger nation, we need each other for support, accountability, and shared mission. Like that construction site analogy, you can't build something significant alone,
Pappy, that's a powerful parallel to consider.
Ben. And ultimately, we're not just building for ourselves, we're part of a larger story that affects future generations. Just like those ancient Israelites, our choices today have ripple effects that extend far beyond our immediate circumstances